Welcome once again to Auto Mundial, the weekly home of all the latest motoring news and reviews. This week, Renault gives the 4 a splash of heroics.
We've also got yet another special Ferrari supercar, but only certain people can buy it.
Plus, it's a happy 50th for Britain's favourite small executive saloon, the BMW 3 Series.
That's all coming up. First though, the news.
Here in the UK, we get the Toyota GR Yaris. In the United States, they get the GR Corolla. But with demand exceeding the capacity of Toyota's Seoul Gazoo Racing factory in Japan, the manufacturer has confirmed that from next year, the larger 5-door Corolla will be built here in the UK. According to Toyota, the UK's experience in motorsport, plus the capability of Toyota Motor Manufacturing UK's Deeside and Burnaston plants, were the basis of the choice. Whilst the manufacturer has not confirmed that the move will lead to the GR Corolla's sales launch here in the UK, with a plan to still only sell the hot hatch in selected markets, there are rumblings that the model may well appear on sale later on down the line. We'll keep our fingers crossed and bring you that news if and when it eventually arrives.
The BMW 3 Series, a compact executive saloon with a smidge of arrogance popular amongst middle management. If there were ever a model that represented the German automotive industry, it would probably be this. Nice sharp styling cues in either saloon or estate form and a busy cabin full of accent colour trim pieces and dashboard flicks. The current 3 Series is nothing if not a sporty looking car, even in its base form. Available in 320, 330 and 340 forms, with the middle option getting plug-in hybrid tech to assist its 6-cylinder engine. Today you can get your hands on the 4-cylinder 320i from just under £40,000. Especially when you put it through a multi-year financing deal, one might even consider that to be a relatively affordable family car. So that's what the Bavarian compact executive looks like in 2025. But now celebrating its 50th birthday, how did the 3 Series get to where it is now? To answer that question, let's take a stroll down memory lane.
First unveiled as a successor to the 02 series, the 3 Series launched in its first generation, codenamed E21, in 1975, taking the old 2002's overall shape but adapting it to adopt a collection of design cues from the larger and equally new at the time 5 Series. The E21 only ever shipped as a 2-door coupe. It came with a wide variety of engine choices, ranging from a 1.6-litre 4-cylinder all the way up to the sportiest 323i, getting a fuel-injected 2.3-litre straight-six, good for 145 brake horsepower. Mounted within a car weighing no more than a tonne, this 1970s sports coupe could reach the dizzying heights of 120 miles an hour. It didn't take long for the hastily developed E21 to get booted out in favour of a more modern machine boasting up-to-date underpinnings. That led BMW to launch the E30 generation of 3 Series in 1982, sporting refreshed suspension and brakes for greater handling potential. 2-door, 4-door, 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder, petrol, diesel, rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, coupe, convertible, estate. This was the first 3 Series to get a wide variety of different specifications, making for a long options list, but also placing the E30 into infamy, setting the stage for the model's future.
Arguably still recognisable to the 3 Series original muse, the 2002, BMW launched the 3rd generation, dubbed E36, in 1990 and slowly began phasing out the E30. With its moulded bumper, sharper headlights, flowing lines and lower stance, this third generation of 3 Series finally saw a bit of aesthetic progression, moving from the original car into a more modern era, influenced by the aerodynamics and safety. Along with its predecessor, the 4th generation of 3 Series really helped popularise diesel power among BMW consumers, with, at one point, engine offerings dominated by the fuel source. Sitting between modern driving and old-school freedom, many today consider the E46 3 Series to be the best of the bunch. E46 became E90 just 5 years after its first unveiling for a short-lived 4th generation, but its legacy lived on, with curvaceous bodies becoming even more so. The long, sloping bonnet, stylised headlights and that rear end were all key ideas carried over from the 4th to the 5th generation. We then moved over to the 6th generation in 2010, when the broad variety of body styles brought about by the E30 now dropped to just 3, with 2-door models now falling under the 4 Series umbrella. One of the longest-serving 3 Series generations, the so-called F30, was a reflection of the modern motoring industry's elongated development processes, meaning we see fewer facelifts, updates and generations than in decades gone by. That being said, with electrification taking over, today's 7th Gen G20 is set to give way to the next generation of electrified 3 Series as early as next year, when the Neue Klasse design concept will finally see the light of production.
First launching the Leaf in 2010, Nissan was once a pioneer at the forefront of battery electric vehicle tech, sitting as one of the sole serious contenders in the class early days. But as time has gone on and as other manufacturers have slowly plugged away at pushing their own systems forward, the Japanese manufacturer has somewhat fallen to the back of the consumers' minds. Despite the odd visual upgrade, the Leaf has really moved on very little since its first iteration some 15 years ago. Now though, as the world moves further towards a BEV majority, Nissan is being forced back into electric development, and after announcing an all-new all-electric Micra based on the Renault 5, the Leaf is also getting some love as it moves into its 3rd generation. Whilst it does retain a certain unique approach to automotive design, the now far sleeker Nissan Leaf feels a little less bold than its original ancestor. A nice sharp front end, flowing side profile and bulbous taillight design are all styling cues that mirror other EVs of the moment. We might even go as far to say that the new Leaf is quite a charming car, growing from the ugly duckling 1st generation into what is now a photogenic mallard. Perhaps not quite a swan. Inside, the designers have clearly put spaciousness at the top of the priority list, with very few bulky elements to note. Even the steering wheel and armrests are relatively minuscule. Google built-in runs the pair of the 14.3-inch screens, and has always been the case aboard Leaf products. This new car is full of driver assist technology. 2 powertrain offerings are available for the new Leaf, a 174 brake horsepower model getting juice from a 52 kWh battery, good for 271 miles of range. A larger 75 kWh battery provides the front wheels with 215 brake horsepower and gives the model a whopping 375 mile range. Not bad for a manufacturer that we all thought was trailing behind just a few months ago. It's not just the new car's range figures that Nissan is pinning its hopes on, however, as if you couldn't tell, the new Leaf is far larger than its predecessor, outgrowing its previous hatchback class and firmly landing among the crossovers that outsold the old car. So how will this new one fare? The new generation Nissan Leaf doesn't hit UK markets until next year, but one of its future rivals with good momentum at the moment is the Kia EV3.
With a slightly larger 81.4 kWh battery than the Nissan, the long-range EV3 will match the 375-mile range from a charge. If you're looking at the entry-level variant of the two cars, they're also both fairly level, both managing to hit the 270 mark. That being said, regardless of the battery you choose in the Kia, you'll benefit from 200 brake horsepower under your right foot, making overtakes just that little bit easier. Visually, and whilst just as forward-thinking as the new Leaf, the Kia EV3 is a far boxier model. Much like its Japanese rival, quirky light patterns and sharp edges give the car a futuristic look that we do find endearing. Inside, rear passengers are the ones that make the most of Kia's flatter roof, getting a bit more headroom than in the back of the Nissan, while those up front get a little more padding with their seating position. Tech is less prominent in the Kia, with smaller screens, but rest assured that it is very much still there.
With the Nissan Leaf still quite a few months away from UK sales, we're yet to get a confirmed price. But based on the outgoing car's figure, we wouldn't be surprised to see the new model going for around £35,000. By comparison, the EV3 is available from £32,000 in entry-level form, so we look forward to watching these two duking it out next year.
After the break, the Renault 4 may come from modest stock, but its new form isn't really about splashing in the mud. Can this concept car change that?
Welcome back. Coming up, how can the prancing horse possibly make the Ferrari 296 Speciale more special?
Adorable retro looks and commendable endurance from a charge, we do like the brand new Renault 4. But lower slung and full of intricate design touches, we wouldn't exactly say it's as physically rugged as the first of its name. Well, just to prove us wrong, the French manufacturer has unveiled the Vision 4 Rescue, a concept creation based upon the new age Renault 4, showing that electric cars are just as tough as the rest of them. If you hadn't guessed it by now, this one-off is a demonstration of what the Renault 4 would look like as a firefighting hero, complete with red paint, fluorescent decals, blues and twos, front and rear bolstering, and a drone within the roof box. Completing the look are these classless and rather fetching steel wheels, returning the 4 to its modest roots. Built in collaboration with the French firefighting service, the cabin is designed to host everything a crew might need during a mission. A large set of screens fold out from the boot, making for a useful command centre, whilst all the gear you would want to battle flames sits just behind the rear seats. Further forward, the 4's cabin may not be as spacious as the trucks teams usually use, but it will sit 4 non-uniformed service personnel. Just so they don't feel out of place, constant reminders that the Vision's passengers are firefighters litter the seats. Trim and buttons from red upholstery to the job title stitched into the seats. Would you really want your car to remind you of your accountancy tasks when off the clock? A silly little marketing stunt, this Vision 4 Rescue will never actually join missions to keep flames at bay, nor will you ever be able to buy one. But it is a nice reminder that the Renault 4 does still have a bit of oomph hidden deep within its DNA.
In the 7-seat SUV category, our current class favourite is the Hyundai Santa Fe. With attractive looks, a competitive price point and an airy cabin, it gives Range Rover vibes at a cut price.
But Mazda may have something to say about that. This is the new CX-80, the most spacious car in its lineup. The CX-80 borrows many design cues from other cars in the CX range, with classy and curvy lines, a signature of Mazda's Kodo design language. In fact, Despite its significant bulk, you could easily confuse it with one of the manufacturer's smaller offerings. The CX-80 is available with a choice of two powertrains, but only the eSky Active PHEV is worth having. A four-cylinder petrol engine and an electric motor produce 323 brake horsepower, all while offering 37 miles of all-electric driving. Inside, the CX-80 benefits from a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster and a similarly sized central display. While the infotainment displays aren't touchscreen, they are easy to navigate with the rotary dial on the center console. Even so, Amazon's virtual assistant Alexa comes built in, as does wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Other standard kit includes wireless smartphone connectivity, 8-way adjustable driver's seat, heated front seats and 3-zone air conditioning. While lower spec models have to make do with fabric seats, top-of-the-range Takumi trim examples get real maple wood trim, Napa leather upholstery and chrome accents. The second row is available as either a 3-seat bench or as a pair of captain's chairs, separated by a central walkway or cup holder fitted console. So up to you if you want a more luxurious passenger experience or need to sit a family of 7. With all 3 rows of seating in place, boot space is an unimpactful 258 litres. That grows to a more worthwhile 687 with the rearmost seats folded flat. Fold down the second row too, and that figure almost triples. So this Mazda People Carrier's boot will go from subcompact to van rivaling in minutes. Available from £49,800 and only rising to £56,000, the Mazda does offer good seating real estate for the money. But how does it compare to the £47,000 Hyundai Santa Fe?
Well, under the bonnet, plug-in hybrid tech will cost you more money, getting you 250 bhp and an all-wheel drive system, somewhat disappointing versus the Mazda. Inside the Santa Fe, like the CX-80, gets a pair of 12.3-inch displays. However, we have to say we much prefer their format, blending beautifully into the dash, opposed to the Mazda's plonked-on-top approach. Elsewhere, a collection of eco-friendly materials line the interior, and there's plenty of storage bins even in the second and third rows. All in all, both offerings present a worthy contender. They're a similar price, have similar tech and similar space inside. Choosing between them will be a case of personal preference. Do you like the curvy lines of the CX-80 or the angular proportions of the Santa Fe?
A few weeks ago, Ferrari lifted the covers on what it called the 296 Speciale, a lightened, more powerful and retuned variant of the 296 GTB supercar with all the components of a feral track day specialist. With lap times around the most prestigious international circuits in mind, the Speciale gets a power increase to 880 brake horsepower, delivered to the rear wheels by a hybridized twin-turbo V6, paired with an electrically assisted 8-speed dual-clutch transmission. Under all of that sits a chassis and suspension setup stiffened to improve cornering agility and to enhance the car's aerodynamic efficiency. The result is a Halo's supercar sitting at the top of the prancing horse's tree of offerings, capable of rivaling many race-ready models despite still wearing a number plate and road tyres. But what we once thought was the pinnacle of Italian engineering now sits below something even more special. This is the Ferrari 296 Speciale Piloti. And where any old Joe can get their hands on the regular Speciale, should they have the required £400,000 laying around, only a select few are even allowed to buy this model. In fact, to earn the right to stake a claim to an allocation, one must first compete in a season of the Ferrari Challenge Series. a customer-led championship racing around the world aboard specially designed racing versions of the 296 GTB. So, after buying the race car for around £300,000 and competing in a year-long season for around £1 million, what do you get with a special edition Speciale set to cost a further £500,000? For starters, you get this Le Mans-inspired livery. No, really, that's it. After all that fuss, you get a yellow stripe and a custom number matching the numerals of your race car, but you can replace the Rosso Scuderia body colour with one of 3 other choices: blue, black or silver. Oh, sorry, we did forget Alcantara-clad bucket seats with a yellow stripe matching the exterior. If you agree with us that sounds like a lot of hassle for a flashy supercar only a 5-year-old would find cool, perhaps you'll join us in continuing to lust after the box standard Speciale instead.
That's all we have time for this week, but do join us next time for even more limited edition track-focused supercar action.